James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to play Redemption Song by Bob Marley. And Bob Marley is a pretty prolific guy. He has a ton of recordings of this tune. I'm going to be doing the one from the album Uprising. Now we're going to start off by showing you the intro melody, and then I'm going to show you how to strum through the song just using some simple chord shapes. If along the way that you find you need extra help, I have a couple resources for you. There's my free ebook covering all the basics of rhythm guitar, and I also have a free ebook covering the basics of lead guitar. Those are free for all my subscribers. There's links down below. And if you want like the complete experience, I also have a premium beginner's course. So check any of those out if you need any extra help. Otherwise, we're going to get started off with that intro melody, which goes like this. To learn it, we're going to divide it up into a few pieces. The first bit that I want you to learn goes like this. So we start off on the lowest, the thickest string at the 3rd fret. Then we play the A string open. And then we quickly hammer onto the 2nd fret. You could just play the 2nd fret without the hammer on, but if you want to make it sound exactly like Bob Marley plays it, we quickly hammer onto it, and then we play the 3rd fret of the lowest string again. So that part, the next part goes like this. So let's ignore the hammer-ons for a second. The notes we're playing are the 3rd fret of the A string, then the 2nd fret of the D string, then the open D string, and then the 2nd fret of the A string. And we can add a couple hammer-ons. The first one is on that first note. Instead of starting on the 3rd fret of the A string, we're actually going to put our first finger on the 2nd fret and quickly hammer to the 3rd fret. And then on the next one, we go, so that's open to 2. And then the rest of it is just no hammer-ons. So with the hammer-ons, and when you put that together with the first part, or without the hammer-ons, now the next part goes like this. So it's almost the same as the first part, except that last note changes. We start off the same way. And now instead of going back here, we're going to go to the open D string. So with the hammer-ons, without, and then finally, so we're just on the 3rd fret of the A string. We go 3, 2, 0, and then the 3rd fret of the low string. And there's no hammer-ons there. So the second half all together, and without hammer-ons, so take some time with that, go over it, memorize it, decide whether or not you're going to do the hammer-ons. There's no shame in not doing them if you're not ready for it, but if you do want to get started with that, I have a bunch of exercises in my lead guitar ebook. It's free, so down below you can find a link to that. Anyways, when you're ready, we can play through it. I'm going to do it a couple times super duper slowly. Once without the hammer-ons, and then once with the hammer-ons. So let's do it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. with the hammer-ons, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, now let's take a look at the strumming. And to do this, we're gonna need 6 chord shapes. Our first one is G. Then we have E minor. And from G to E minor is a really easy switch. You can just leave your first finger down. Then we go to C. And once again, from E minor to C, we leave our middle finger down this time. So E minor, we pivot off of that, switch to C. Then we play G over B. So that one's a bit of a funny one. Going from C to G over B, I recommend doing it that way. We're just playing a C chord, and then I move my middle finger to the 2nd fret of the A string, put my pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. The underside of my pinky is touching that high string, and then the tip of my middle finger is touching that low string. So just practice that switch from C to G over B. And then we have an A minor. And there's also, later in the song, a D chord. So those are all basic chords aside from that G over B chord, but that's a really useful chord to know, like super useful. It's in a ton of songs. Like if you know the song Landslide, like I've been afraid of changes, you know, or it's in like close my eyes. You know, I could keep going. It's in like a billion songs, so it is worth learning eventually. But for now, if it's too much, just stick with a C chord for that part. Anyways, now that we've taken a brief look at the chord shapes, let's practice playing them in order using downstrokes only. We're gonna keep the rhythm super simple. What we're doing here is counting out how long we're playing each chord for. That's our goal, you know, to make sure we're changing chords at the right time. We're starting off on G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Switch to E minor. Here we're gonna split it. C, 2, G over B, A minor, 2, 3, back to G. That G over B is also a No Woman, No Cry. Just remembered that. 2, 3, 4, C, G over B, 1, 2. Again, G. And here it's going to be a little bit different. G, E minor. We're going to stay on C for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. Won't you help to sing? And then we'd go into the chorus from there. But before we do that, let's just make sure that you can play these chords in order, you know, with nice clean chord switches. And now we can take a look at the strumming pattern, which goes like this. And that's the most common strumming pattern ever. Down, down, up, up, down, up. If you check out my free ebook, it's Essential Strumming Pattern number 2. So if you need extra practice with it, I recommend checking that out. Let's just take a quick look at it right now though. We start off going down, down, up. And then we go miss, up, down, up. Miss, up, down, up. When you practice it, I recommend saying miss out loud because that's a main beat, and when it's missing, it kind of feels weird. Anyways, when you glue the whole thing together super duper slowly, 3 and 4 and down, down, up, miss, up, down, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. I recommend just trying that, you know, playing it a whole bunch of times in a row on one chord shape. If you're having trouble with it, that's going to be the way to do it. You know, if you're trying to switch chords while learning a strumming pattern, it's not going to work out. You want to isolate the things. So just stick with one chord shape. You don't even need to use chords. You could just mute the strings by lightly touching them. And just play the strumming pattern a whole bunch of times in a row like that. And before we put the strumming pattern together with the chords, there's one part in the chords. Remember when we were going from C to G over B, how we only did 2 strums of each? Well, we're gonna have to split our strumming pattern or change our strumming pattern for that part. So over the C chord, I would go down, down, up. That's just the first half of the pattern. Then when I switch to G over B, I'd do that again. Down, down, up. So I'm just doing the first half of the pattern on both of those. You'll see what I mean. You know, we're gonna put this all together right now. We're gonna play it together nice and slow. You can always just watch this and then rewind it, and you'll see what's going on. So we're gonna start off on that G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Down, down, up, down, down, up. Repeat that a couple more times. My hands were made strong. Cool, so all we have left to do now is learn the chorus, which is super duper straightforward. It's a lot simpler than that last part. The chords are the same. There's even less, like we don't have A minor or that G over B chord. It's just G, C, D, and E minor. And in the same way that we had to change our strumming pattern for that C to G over B part, in this part, we're gonna be doing that for C to D. So just down, down, up on C, and then down, down, up on D. And I recommend trying that a couple times, just going down, down, up, down, down, up. Aside from that, this is really straightforward. So let's actually just try it together. You can always just watch this part and rewind it. If you could do the verse, you're gonna have no problem with this part. Here we go, starting off on G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, down. Freedom. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to it. When you're assembling the song, you would play the intro bit, do that 2 times, then you play the verse and the chorus, then you play the verse again, the chorus again. The second time you do the chorus, you can add a couple more to the end of it. You could do that forever. Redemption song. And you'll notice artists do that a lot when they're ending a song. They kind of just keep repeating the last couple chords and the last little phrase. He just keeps singing redemption song. That's called a tag when you do that, when you just keep repeating it. Anyways, after you do the chorus the second time, after that on the recording, he goes like this. Which is just a little snippet of the chorus. He does that 4 times. And that's just, I guess, to break it up, because after that, he does the chorus again. So you'll hear it. I think the most important thing is to listen to the original recording a whole bunch of times so that you can hear all these parts coming. You'll know it in advance, like the chorus is coming. I can hear it in my head. That's doesn't come from practicing guitar. That comes from really listening to music. That's something that like every guitar teacher I've ever had who actually knew what they were talking about, they kept telling me to listen, and I was like, yeah, why would I, I'd rather practice. I want to spend my time practicing. But now I realize that listening is at least half of it. You get so much better, so much faster if you listen to a lot of music. Kind of like how if you read a lot of books, you'd get a lot better at writing, because your vocabulary would expand. All these things would happen from reading that would make writing a lot easier. Whereas if you'd never read a single book in your life and you just try to write It's not gonna work out. Anyways, this is a pretty easy song to put together, you know, just alternate through the parts. Have fun with it, you know, experiment a little, play it around a campfire. Either way, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.